Hi everybody, at long last it's time to review Neil Young's 1973 live album, Time Fades Away. Now, before we get to the review, let me give you a little backstory. In 1972, Neil had just recorded Harvest and was going on the road with the Stray Gators, which were made up of Ben Keith on steel guitar, um, Jack Nietzsche on piano, Tim Drummond on bass, Kenny Buttrey on drums, and he wanted um, Neil wanted Danny Whitten of Crazy Horse to be his second guitarist or third guitarist, if you count Ben Keith. Um, but Danny came to rehearsals on Neil's ranch in Redwood City, California, Broken Arrow, and Danny was in the throes of uh, drug addiction, and so Neil sent him packing, and he Danny later OD'd and died, which set a pall over the tour and informed uh, some of Neil's songwriting um, for a couple years to come. And so, needless to say, Neil let Danny go and just went out with the core band of the Stray Gators. And so he decided to record a live album. His first, I believe, his first solo live album. Um, and so he did, and about halfway through the tour, his voice gave out after weeks of uh, voice abuse, and because Neil himself wasn't in that great a shape, um, so he called David Crosby and Graham Nash to cover, and you can hear their contributions on Time Fades Away, which we will get to in a minute. Um, but he also fired Kenny Buttrey and called in Johnny Barbata, with whom he had played in on the Crosby, Stills and Nash and Young tours of 1970 to replace Kenny Buttrey on drums, because in Johnny Barbata's words, he got a call from Neil saying that Kenny wasn't making it, and so Johnny Barbata was called in uh, to play out the rest of the tour. And so, as I said, Neil decided to record a live album, and Time Fades Away was the result. Now, you would think Neil would house this live album with a mixture of old and new material, but this wasn't the case. He This live album had all new material, which was foreign to fans, and so most of the album was recorded in 1973, which with the exception of the track "Love and Mine," which was recorded at Royce Hall on the Journey to the Past tour in 1971. Um, Time Fades Away has been out of print for years until Neil released it as part of his archive series on CD, and so I had it on album because I got it for either Christmas or birthday. I think birthday, and but I didn't have it on CD, so I was super excited to finally get it on CD, and it had been heavily requested by fans to be released on CD, so I'm kind of glad Neil finally released it. And it when it came out, it got critical acclaim, despite the fact it didn't have any hits on the record. And so some of my favorites on the record is, of course, the are, of course, the title track, Time Fades Away, which kind of reminds me of a Dylan song called Subterranean Homesick Blues, or Tombstone Blues, because it kind of has that vibe to it. And of course, I love the title track. I love the song Journey Through the Past, and L.A., which gets the electric treatment, and there are only 2 solo piano songs on Time Fades Away. Or 3 solo piano songs. They are Journey to the Past, Love in Mind, and The Bridge, which is another fantastic number. But one of my all-time favorite tunes on the record is the autobiographical Don't Be Denied, which kind of tells the story of Neil's life after his parents divorced in 1960. And so, but I love this record, and like I said, I am so overjoyed that it finally saw official CD release. And so I hope you enjoy it, and I give it 1,000 stars. Enjoy the record.